going on for quite a while now, and I've put it out there a little bit just to test. And it's to do with couples, and how many couples end up marrying the person who's in the same position in another family. So Bruce is the youngest in his family, I'm the youngest in my family. All his siblings are the same. All my siblings are the same. Murray's married the eldest, he's the eldest. Nathan's marrying Florence, she's the eldest. And Robin's sort of towards the youngest, and he's married the youngest. And Debbie is the middle, and she married Gary, who's the middle. So out of us couples who are here, who is about the same? Yeah, you're what are you? The oldest, youngest? Youngest and youngest. Any other? No, it's not going. Yeah, you're. It's just it's just everyone I seem to know seems to have the same position in the family, but obviously it's not something to write a dissertation on then if no one else did. Oh dear. And it's by no means a reason to say okay, it's over. Bruce has been looking at Moses, and what he didn't know is that I was beginning to get a bit of a message on part of Moses, just one small part. And it's where Moses has grown up, and you'll find it in Exodus 2, starting at verse 11. And I forgot my glasses, so you'll have to watch me squint. I can try yours. Now it came to pass. No, it didn't. Start again. Now it came about in those days, sort of the same, when Moses had grown up, that he went out to his brethren and looked on their hard labours, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his brethren. So he looked this way and that. And when he saw there was no one around, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. And went out the next day, and behold, 2 Hebrews were fighting each other. And he said to the offender, "Why are you striking your companion?" But he said, "Who made you prince or judge over us? Are you intending to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and said, "Surely the matter has become known." When Pharaoh heard of this matter, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from the presence of Pharaoh and settled in the land of Midian. A body in the sand. There was tension in the palace. Why on earth was Pharaoh going to kill Moses? Why was he going to kill Moses? It was just an Egyptian. The Egyptian didn't even get a name. But for some reason, Pharaoh must have been already tense with Moses. Because if he treated him like a son already, a Pharaoh, one of the most powerful men on the earth at that time, he would have said, "And? It was just one of my workers. I didn't even know his name." He had the right just to wipe it clean. But for some reason, Pharaoh had it in his heart to kill Moses. So Moses can't have really fitted in well. So Moses killed an Egyptian and buried him in the sand. When I thought about that, I thought, how many times in my life have I buried something in sand? Sand is very hard to dig. Anyone who's built a big sandcastle knows if it's dry, you can't dig a hole very easily. It just sort of fills itself back up, doesn't it? And I think there's times in all our lives when we try and bury things, hide things, and we do it in our own strength, and we try and say, okay, I can deal with this. This is something I need to deal with. I will bury it, and I will bury it in the sand and forget about it. But whenever you bury it in the sand, the season of wind and time and change, it always resurfaces. And you feel like, will this problem ever be gone? And sometimes it's not something that you were guilty of. Sometimes it's something that happened to you, and you just feel that this problem will never, never go away. And you keep burying it and saying, go away, problem. But the sand keeps blowing, the seasons keep coming, and you think, I am done with this problem. I think we've been singing quite a lot of the songs this morning about the truths of God's word. And we need to look at these different things that have happened in our lives and ask God to bury it once and for all. And when we go through a process of allowing God to take that issue, whether we're guilty or the innocent, if we allow God to bury it and to go through that season of allowing him through prayer, through maybe other people as well, and not to go around digging up graves either. When sometimes you sort of think, oh, have I got anything wrong with me? And we go searching. If it's been dealt with, it's been dealt with. If you've got something, you know it now. You don't have to go thinking about it. As soon as I said a problem in the past, it came to your mind, or it didn't. It's not something that you need to go around digging up, because if God's buried it, it's gone, it's dealt with. The truth has set you free, and enjoy that, and enjoy the freedom that it brings. But there was an issue about 25 years ago, or I had the problem for about 25 years, and for 25 years, at least once a month, I would have a sleepless nightmare night over an issue. And again, I wasn't the guilty one, but it's an issue that I knew about, but I didn't know the whole truth about. And I was in this torment of fear. And it was probably dealt with about five years ago. And it just kept washing over me, this fear. And it wouldn't be something that I'd think about during the day, but in the night, I would have these tossing and turning nights, and all the sleep was just terrible, and it would be nightmarish. And Dave Lazenby bought the song, I'm No Longer a Slave to Fear. And one Sunday, it touched the right point in my heart. And I just sobbed, because this was a fear that had really got hold of me and was robbing me of peace. And I went to Gemma and we prayed through this issue and I was open. I told her everything that I knew, and another dream had come that told me I need to get it dealt with. And yeah, we prayed through it, and I have not had one sleepless night since, and that's 5 years. Well, I have sleepless nights, but that's another reason. But not the nightmare of the tossing and turning of this thought, and I'm stuck in this rut, I'm stuck in this grave, and I cannot get out. And I am living in the freedom of having good, sound, truthful counsel and prayer over my life. And that body that was buried in the sand is now buried properly, and I can think about what happened and not allow it to take me down, and I stand in victory. I got Bruce to read the Romans scriptures because I want to start looking at truth as well. And I just felt that Romans, the verse that Grace read out a couple of weeks ago, it was just so strong and so powerful. And I'd like to get it memorised. For those who've got Bruce's brain, you can just sit down for about 5 minutes and just think, oh, I've memorised it, and in 10 years you can just quote it, just like that. But for people with more my brain, you will have to sit down and you will have to write it out. You'll have to write it out on a kitchen door, you'll have to write it on your hand, you'll have to have it going over and over on headphones. And maybe after about 5 years, you'll be able to remember it. So for those who struggle with memorising, don't feel guilty. God will bring it back if it's the right verse at the right time, but get it in there. And I just thought, for me, it was this hope is not a disappointing fantasy. This hope we have. You know, we can face disappointment in so many ways, and maybe even disappointment with God. And maybe we're facing trials and problems and situations where we think, God, I am disappointed. How can I say you're not disappointing me? But that's a season. And in time, you will walk through that and you'll be able to say, now I understand, like Sandra was saying. It's not what we see at the time of going through, but sometimes we can look back and say, now I understand. This hope is not a disappointing fantasy. It's not something that's just made up for good feelings. Our God is King of Kings. He's Lord of Lords. If he just glanced in this room, we would all be on the floor, shaking. He's so, so powerful. He's not a joke, and he's not a disappointing God.